And we're going to go up to the cam tab within the assembly. Now it's exactly the same as within a part. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the job tab. We're going to start a setup. We're going to first and foremost select the correct model. So I'm going to red X out what's selected. That's going to activate the model selection, and I'm going to hover over the correct model. Now you'll see the red dashes once again, similar to how we did in a part environment. I'm going to hover over this till I can see the part model itself. We're going to left click on that. Then we're going to move to our stock to change our stock to our solid model. So we'll go from solid, and we're going to select the solid. Now remember, there is a little bit of a glitch here. I'm going to left click that, red exit, and then left click the solid again. Now make sure that you selected the correct solid for your stock. We'll go to our setup, and we're actually going to set this up from a model box point. So it'll shrink wrap the model itself, not the stock. And you can see here that that sets the Z at the bottom. And we're going to be on the center point, and that makes it easy enough for me to just flip my Z over and then flip my Y to face the right direction. We'll go ahead and pick this face, and that's my op1 setup. So before I move on, I'll come into my post processor zone here. I'm going to change my program number and give it a little bit of a note. And I'll just, for prosperity's sake, change my work offset to 1. Now, this is kind of nice because if I were to turn this into a production on multiple vices, then I could always continue down the line, and when I do a copy or duplication, then it would be easy enough to just keep moving up the line within work offsets. So you see you get a little information here in your setup folder. There's that setup 1 and then work offset 1, just to keep that in mind. And then the check mark on the left, once again, that denotes that all our toolpaths are going to be in op1. So because we've programmed this already, we really don't want to go through it all over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the front pump cover part. Let me close this out. I'll just hit yes. We'll save it. Just so you can see how we can go back and open up that part. So if I hover over the part, right click, I can hit open. That's going to open that part. So that opened our stock. That was the wrong part. Let's go ahead and close it. We can always go back into our model browser, come into our folder for our stock, right click on it, turn the visibility off. We no longer need it. We've defined it. Now I can come into my customer part, right click, open. That's going to open the part, and you can see here that I now have my CAM browser open. So I can come in here and I can now select all of the toolpath that is applicable for this part, which in this case is going to be the face and then all of the internal machined components, as well as the holes for all of the finishing. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to leave out the adaptive. I'm going to leave out the finished contour for the outside profile, because all of that's finished within the casting itself. And I'm just going to hit copy. You can also hit Control V, come into our IAM, go to our CAM tab, right click, and paste. Now everything here is a red X. Now you can try and generate it. Just come up to your toolpath and generate and see if it will pick up the model. Now the only thing it picked up is the face. That's okay. We can just come in and quickly reselect the geometry on the bores. That should rough those out. Just go to your geometry page, select the geometry, and hit OK. And that's how simple it is to migrate from one to the other. Grab your holes with same face selected. Just going to go ahead and do that. And we can just quickly come in and reapply all these tool paths. So let's go ahead and reselect that. And the same for the holes. And within a span of like a minute or 2 minutes, we've successfully machined op1 for our part. Let's go ahead and simulate this and see if we can see any errors. I'm going to go ahead and have stock turned on, and I'm going to have it by operation, just so I can see where the errors are in the operation. And I'm going to go to toolpath tail so that it follows the toolpath along. Alright, so immediately I saw there I had some stock I need to remove, so there's going to be some adjustment there. I also have what looks like to be a little bit of a swirl at the very bottom of my part. So there may be a difference in it's the difference in the stock to the material. So that op1 stock did not go through. So I'm going to actually have to push that through a little further to clear the casting stock. No big deal there. We can fix that real quick, and then I'm going to have to get rid of that island that was in the middle. So within our circular rough and our circular finish, we are going to need to bore this out, and what I'm going to need to do is go in, double click to edit. Let's add multiple passes, select OK, and that's going to whittle that out and clear that for us. Oh, I did forget to push the stock past. That's okay. Double click again, come into my heights tab. In my bottom heights, let's go ahead and go minus 0.030 for that. Actually, I believe it is 0.075 minus. And you saw how it adjusted on the fly, so it makes it easy to come in and you can make adjustments and watch the toolpath go through the stock or go through the part to make sure that you're making your clearances correctly. Now, I am going to have to split this up on the rough boring. You can see here that I wanted that to go through, but because I need to go past, what's going to happen if I come to a side view and come to a wireframe, you'll see that I'm going past there. Well, it's not a big deal in HSM because all I got to do is come in and duplicate the tool. I'm going to use the Control-D trick once again. And then I'll just come in and in my geometry, I'll deselect that one that I don't want. And the same goes for the next toolpath. Then I can come into the hole, go to 0. I can even get rid of multiple passes on this because it doesn't need it for this bore. And just like that, I now have that part corrected with the issues that we had. We can come back and we can simulate this. And we get a much cleaner toolpath result. You can see that I must not have gone through all the way. So let's go back and correct that issue again. So we'll come to our first bore. Now, instead of the bottom being selected from the whole bottom, let's go ahead and 0 that out. And let's go to the stock bottom. And just go 30 thou past the stock bottom. Now you see, even though the stock's not turned on, it knows the stock's there. It read it, and it pushed that bottom pass. So if I change this to 0, you'll see that goes straight down to the stock itself. Whoops. And that goes past. Now when we verify this and simulate it, that bores it to completion all the way through. Now we only have to worry about machining the other side to machine off the rest of that material. Close that. We're ready for op2. We'll go ahead and start a new setup for op2. This time what we're going to do is we're going to try and pick up that center bore that we finished through. That way we can indicate the outside of the part and be true to the bore itself. So I'm actually going to switch from this model box point to a selected point. I'm just going to select the center of that. We're going to switch our setup Y direction. For our stock, once again, we'll go ahead and select that part stock, but since we don't have it turned on, we're going to have to just hit OK to this for now. Go back to our model browser. And let's go ahead and turn our fixture components on while we're here. And our stock components. back to our cam, double click into our setup, and really the workflow, I mean, makes it quick just to double click, jump into something, grab it, and go. So let's get back to our stock from solid. Remember to select that face, delete it, select the model again, select OK. And we have our op2. Now I forgot to change the post-process information here. We'll go to 2, op2, G55. With that, we'll go back to our front pub cover, and we're going to select the facing, the hole, and the radius cuts. With our facing, let's go ahead and just select this stock as the facing point, since the only thing we really need to face is that top. Select the drill hole geometry. And last but not least, select our contours for our chamfer. And you can see here what I can do is, instead of just turning off that solid model right now, I can just hover in here and select it. Our clearance heights are incorrect for that, so I've got selected contours. Let's change this to model top. And select our radius contours. Again, our model top has been changed from the old program from the new, so now you can see here we are just barely below where we need to be to gain clearance for this, so we're going to crash into that. We may or may not. Let's go ahead and simulate just this toolpath. So I'll highlight that toolpath, hit simulation, turn stock off for now. I'm going to show the entire toolpath for this, and I'm going to select on that point. So that's just so I can come in and see what we got going on here. And we're just barely going to clear that. So this is the chamfer tool. Now this may have been done backwards. Yeah, I did this backwards. So what we can do is change the tool. For each one. And just by replacing that tool, it's going to change the toolpath automatically, specifically to what it needs to be. There, now we have our clearance for our radius tool that we don't have to worry about. We'll go back into our model browser, turn off just our stock, and then we'll go simulate this. So the radius tool seems to be coming in and cutting that top lip. Now we want to stop that. We're also going to have to go ahead and contour around this top boss face. So we'll have to create a 2D contour. Change the tool. Select the geometry. Make sure our Passes tab has all the information we need it to have. Let's go ahead and start this on the outside of the part. That way it blends. Let's change our height offset. Now there again, because we changed the defaults for it, we can right click on that and now we can make default so that we don't have to go back and keep changing the heights on our toolpaths like that. Let's try this again. And we'll simulate both. Now I need to change the order of those operations. And we may have had some stock to leave on both the top and the bottom. Let's go ahead and do a show part comparison. Now we can see, yes, I did not do the facing down all the way. That's why we have such a huge steep on that. Let's close that out. Come to our facing. Let's see what we had here. So for our bottom height, instead of selected contours, because I selected that stock, it's just finishing to the stock. Well, I need to select model top. Now the model top is picking up something else. So let's go ahead and go to selection. There we go. Now we have a rough and a finish pass in there, and we should simulate this to completion. There we go. Now we're seeing more of a blend, which is what we want out of this, and that part's complete.